back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Boom. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now today we will take a look at Flash from the Task Force wave of the Justice League. Now the collector build from this wave is Darkseid. That's really the reason why I've been reviewing these, because I want to build that Darkseid. That is, the thing I am most interested in about this whole wave. I have done Superman, I did Aquaman, and today we will do the Flash. Now, once again, I did find this guy rather interesting, some pretty unique details, and just an all around interesting figure that I really wanted to get out of the package. Now, he does look pretty intangible in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. He does come first with your standard black DC Multiverse stat. Now, of course, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you have a very nice image of the Flash. Very interesting the way this artwork looks, the design of the character, and the actual figure that we got out of the package. Now, we'll be doing a comparison later on with the Flashpoint Flash, just so you could see the differences between them, but both really nice looking Flash figures. On the back, you do have some information. We'll hold on to that. Not really too many accessories, but you do get the 2 yellow energy force kind of blast effects that you get with each one of the figures from this wave. Although they are varied in color, he does get some golden yellow ones. But as always, don't really use these a lot. It just depends, like figure photography or display. But they're always nice to hold on to. Now, the only other thing he comes with is the body for Darkseid. So I am going to hold on to this because I do want to go ahead and complete that Darkseid and do a video on him, because I want to compare him to the classic Darkseid that we got first and check out some of the differences, try and figure out why that classic Darkseid had the problem with the arms, and if that ported onto this Darkseid. I've seen some reviews and people say that once you snap the arms into this Darkseid, you don't have any problems. So I'm going to check it for myself and then we'll take a look at it together. But let's go ahead and take a closer, more detailed look at this Flash. Now, right away, the big thing about this whole wave was the kind of pixelated cell shading that they used on all of these. Of course, I have to think that each one varies in the way it looks. And when you look at this one in the packaging, this is one of the figures that it does not really affect the look of the figure. In fact, the cell shading kind of looks a little bit like shadows or something like that. Like, for all intents and purposes, you can use this Flash lined up with other members, regular figures of the Justice League, and he will blend right in. Now, another thing is you could take this and customize it, remove the cell shading, and do some adjusting and make a completely different Flash figure. One of the main drawbacks about this, with all of these figures, pretty much the Superman and this Flash, and also including the Batman, is that the emblem, the symbol, is so pixelated that it's really hard to repaint it or reuse it. So you have to figure out some other way to utilize this figure if you want to remove all of that, digitized paint and turn him into a standard figure. So people could get creative. And one of the main things I really wanted with this guy was to check out the head swap with the Flashpoint Flash, because I'm a big fan of the whited out eyes. Now we will look at this guy a lot closer, and I'll go through the articulation pretty quickly because it is standard for what we've come to see with this body book, but looks really good offhand. Like I said, this could be a stand-in as your regular Flash. Even with the cell shading, the only thing would be that the Flash symbol looks a little bit, distorted, but really great looking Flash figure. Love the red, love the yellow, even though the yellow is a little bit more of a golden, darker yellow than you would usually see with Flash. Great head sculpt. That's another thing that really made me want to buy this was the alternate head sculpt. You can see it does have some various differences, like the wings on the head are different than the Flashpoint Flash. And even the sculpture of the area of the mouth that you could see and the nose, you could see it's not the exact same Flash head sculpt. It is a completely different sculpt, so that is pretty awesome. Take a look at the articulation really quick, but he does look down really well. Looks up very nice. Right to left. And you can tilt his head for some character. Moving down to the costume. Like I said, it's a really nice costume. Just the pixelation will be something that will deter you from using it as a regular Flash. But all in all, pretty solid. You got waist articulation side to side, full tilt-a-whirl, lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel, twist him, get him in some cool running poses. He does have a forward crunch, and of course he could lean back as well, so pretty sweet. T-pose. Move down into the thighs. You got the thigh swivel, that allows you to move the leg from side to side without having a thigh cut. Kicks up, kicks back, double jointed knees, straighten them out, up and down at the ankle, left to right, rocker, and of course, toe articulation. I mean, like I said, standard McFarlane articulation, moving up the back, pretty much based off of that Blue Beetle Booster Gold body book and piggybacking off of the Flashpoint Flash. Nice. So he's a great looking Flash figure. I do not have really any complaints except for the fact that they did, the pixelation cell shading. That would be, the only real negative about it. Besides that, great looking. I would have to say Wally West styled Flash. Now, if you bring out the Flashpoint Flash and put them right next to each other, there are slight differences in the costume and design that you can really not notice if you just, take a quick glance. But once you put them up next to each other, you could really see the different details. As I said, the head sculpts are completely different. The wingtips on his mask are different. Moving down, the next big difference is the belt. You could see a more classic style belt on the Flashpoint Flash and a newer, more modern belt on the Task Force Flash. And finally, moving down into the boots, different color tones, different style of boots. This one has the wingtips on his boots, and this one doesn't. And another big difference that I noticed was that the Flashpoint Flash has kind of like pointy boots that are the ones that really do come with that Blue Beetle body book. While the Task Force Flash has completely different tipped boots, they're more of a blunt nose boot, while the Flashpoint Flash boots are kind of pointy. And what I'm really excited about is that gives McFarlane a different style of boot to use with future releases. That way you don't have to necessarily keep using that Blue Beetle Booster Gold boot design. You can swap out, mix and match with this new boot that I really prefer a lot better. It looks more bulky, more like work boots, while the Flashpoint Flash's boots have that pointy, more comic book styled boots. And very interesting, if you take a look at the card image again, this Flash on here really looks like the Flashpoint Flash. They have the same belt, but you could see his eyes, which is the same as the Flashpoint Flash. So Kind of interesting why they ended up, doing a completely different head sculpt. Maybe you have to look at the images of the video game that these figures are based on. Maybe in the sprites of the Flash in the video game, his eyes are wide, and maybe that is why it's different from the card. I still believe that McFarlane could have made all of these figures the platinum versions without having all the pixelation and the cell shading. And that would have been crazy because all of those platinum figures would have been your standard version of your Justice League character. Now, there is a couple of things I wanted to do. First off, I do want to bring out the Superman to go ahead and match up with that Flash, starting to fill out that Task Force wave. I do have Aquaman right here behind me, which is really the favorite of the wave for me. Is this Aquaman? There's just something about him that I really enjoyed. The cell shading really doesn't bother me on this Aquaman. If you watch my review, I explain why it really works with that figure. And let's just go ahead and bring out Batman as well. I will not be reviewing Batman. He's probably the least, no, the one I like the least out of the wave. Really great Batman, color, body, but I'm not a fan of that yelling head sculpt, that angry head sculpt, and the cell shading really ruins it. I mean, like I said, you could use this to make a custom Batman, but that takes a lot of work. You're going to need a regular bat symbol. Once again, if you look at his card, this is what the platinum Batman should have looked like, which is the same figure, just looking regular, like jumping out of the comic pages. That would have really been something to see. But as I said, my favorite part of this whole wave is completing that dark side. That's my big motivation for completing this wave. Now, if I have to rate these with the cell shading and all that, the Superman is the one that the cell shading really messes up. It just looks bad. Then the Batman, then the Flash, and the Aquaman. The cell shading really enhances the Aquaman figure, if that makes any sense. And if I had to, rate them my favorite to least favorite, not a fan of the Batman. The Superman is okay, but the added paint just, makes him look weird. Then the Flash, and my favorite, of course, is Aquaman. So pretty cool to finally get this wave out of the way. Now I could finally, mess around with that dark side, which is something that I've been really looking forward to. If you're looking for these, I hear a lot of people saying that they don't want these or that they're not any good. But I also hear some people really enjoying these and getting a lot of fun factor out of them. But anyways, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.